Christmas is in the air, and that means it's time for some very impactful playoff implication football. First off, on Saturday, we've got a matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals head on to face the Pittsburgh Steelers in the city of Three Rivers. And look, Jake Browning's been great. I'm not taking that away from him. But at the end of the day, that's got to slow down eventually. I refuse to believe that Jake Browning is this good of a quarterback. I know he's got 3 fine receivers. I know his offensive line's better than it's been in Cincinnati in the past. But there is going to be some regression here at some point. I think it's the Steelers' defense, which admittedly has had some of the wind taken out of its sails by their non-existent offense. That's when it starts to happen. Low-scoring game. Steelers defense ultimately wins it out. I trust whatever quarterback, whether it be Mitch Trubisky, whether it be Mason Rudolph, whether it be Ducky Hodges, enough to make that Steelers offense, in the absence of Matt Canada, put up 15, 16 points. I just think Browning's going to get starched this week. So lower score to start the week off. I got the Steelers winning it.
Well, Jamar Chase is out. We know that the Steelers are on their 3rd-string quarterback. We know the Bengals are on their 2nd-string quarterback who has been balling. So I could see this go either way. And I want to predict the Steelers to win because I have been burned in the past saying Mike Tomlin's run going above 500 has been over. It feels like each of the last 2 years I have been wrong on that. So that specifically is driving me to pick the Steelers to win. But I think they're going to lose. The Bengals, they've been much better with Jake Browning at quarterback. Their defense has been solid this year. The Steelers' defense seems to be kind of not as good as it's always been in years past, especially in the later half of this season. So I expect the Bengals to win. Then we have Buffalo heading to Los Angeles. Before the season started, we all thought this was going to be an exciting game. Now Justin Herbert's hurt. They're on an interim head coach. The Chargers organization is in shambles. There's absolutely nothing going for them. Buffalo, on the other hand, is playing better football than they have all year long at this point in the season, so it'll be an easy victory.
No love for Easton Stick. I'm a big Easton Stick guy. Well, I'm North Dakota's finest. I think they got that going for them. I think there's a chance Quentin Johnson, in the absence of the quarterback and the offensive system, which has been shackling and breaks out, it can be more entertaining than you're letting on. But yeah, the Bills are going to win. Indianapolis taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And Arthur Smith just got a $25,000 fine levied upon him by the NFL for falsely reporting injuries. Is that enough to slow him down? Is that enough for him to make the Falcons offense work? Will that $25,000 out of his pocket emphasize to him that, hey, I need to start coaching or I will not have a job full-time in the very near future? No, his dad's a billionaire. He's still going to keep using gadget plays, still going to keep using Jonnu Smith as his main offensive weapon while Drake London gritties in the end zone in double coverage, and he's still going to give the ball to Tyler Algier more than he should. Give me the Indianapolis Colts in this one. Minshew Mania strikes on the road once again, feeling a lot like Christmas for Indianapolis as they lock up a playoff spot with this win.
We talked about the Falcons earlier this week and the disaster that they are on the offensive side of the ball. The gadget plays, having 3 very high first-round picks, not using them, deciding to use Jonnu Smith. They're a mess. The Colts, on the other hand, have been overachieving, I think, for what our expectations were for them prior to the season, and I think they should win pretty easily. And hopefully, for Falcons fans' sake, Arthur Smith gets booted before these last 3 weeks are even over.
However, it will be very funny if the Falcons, given the Saints' loss this week, found a way to win this game and once again, with an incompetent head coach, just grab onto that last divisional playoff spot and refuse to let it go. That'd be amusing. I'm kind of rooting for that, actually, now that I'm talking about it.
Packers headed down to North Carolina to play the Panthers, who they want to win. They want to win at all costs. They're trying to build some momentum for 2024 when they have Bryce Young in year 2. Hopefully a competent head coach. Hopefully some more offensive pieces around him. They want to win desperately. But the team is so bad. Bryce Young is so out of sorts that the Packers, with Jordan Love, their young receiver core getting better every week, it should be an easy, I've said it all 3 games out, it should be an easy win for the Packers.
I mean, pretty much anyone who plays the Panthers should have an easy win. I'd pick against the Packers any day of the week, except I'm currently enjoying a nice Pabst Blue Ribbon. And Tristan, you definitely don't know this, but established in 1844 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is why I'm picking the Wisconsin-based Green Bay Packers to win this game. On to a game in the AFC North, which actually matters. The Detroit Lions headed on up to Minnesota. They're going to play Minnesota 2 times in the last 3 weeks of the season, both times in a dome. And I'm not looking forward to this game. I know who Nick Mullins is. I know who KOC is when push comes to shove in terms of play calling. Still a great head coach, but that clutch play calling, not there. And I am unfortunately familiar with who Dan Campbell is. A man who should win Coach of the Year, leading a high-powered offense, really only gets going indoors, but they have overachieved expectations this year. They are going to win the NFC North, and they are going to win this game. They're probably going to be 12-5, 13-4, and one of the top seeds in the NFC, and this victory will solidify that.
Well, Dan Campbell shouldn't be Coach of the Year, and they have not exactly overexceeded expectations because most people expected them to win the NFC North.
Supposed to have 11 wins. That was the betting odds for Vegas. That was expectations.
Most people expected them to win the NFC North, and having more wins has certainly been aided by the fact that the Vikings are now on, their third quarterback at this point?
I haven't played the Vikings yet. The quarterback situation in Minnesota does not impact
the NFC North has been even worse than we expected it to be.
I'm just saying the amount of wins the Lions have has nothing to do with Kirk Cousins' Achilles.
I mean, we've talked about that in the past. I don't think Dan Campbell... I made a video on TikTok and on YouTube about who should be the coach here. Don't think it's Dan Campbell, but I do think they're going to win this game because they are still a very solid team, especially when they're playing indoors. Their offense gets going. So I do agree that the Lions should win. And then we have Cleveland heading to Houston. I don't know if CJ Stroud is back this week. I did not check in on that before. It is a home game for the Texans, but they're still missing. They're not getting Tank Dell back. Their offense has not looked very good in recent weeks. As a team, they haven't been as strong as they were earlier in the season. On the Browns side of things, the passing offense has emerged with Joe Flacco at quarterback. I think he had, 370 passing yards last week? Did throw
three interceptions.
Had 3 interceptions, but they certainly are spreading the ball more around the field than they were with any of their other 3 quarterbacks.
Both the offense and the defense.
So I think the Browns are going to win.
If CJ Stroud plays, I'll give this one to the Texans because I think they've got a better offense when he is in charge and running things. I'm sure we'll know by the time this video is uploaded if that's going to be the case or not. Tristan, if you so choose, flash something up on the screen like you do so often when I am wrong in retrospect. Oh yeah, I have seen those little texts you put in the video. Not a fan of that, but discuss that later. Now onto the game which I will passionately be watching. The stoppable force versus the movable object. The worst defense in the NFL versus the worst offense in the NFL. Jets versus Commanders. And I'm not a big Sam Howell guy. UNC Proc's doing fine, sure, but I think the Commanders are in a position to replace him. And I think the Jets definitely would have liked to replace Zach Wilson. They tried and they failed. So here we are yet again. If Wilson plays, I think there is a chance he replicates the success he had a few weeks ago, has a crispy 230, 240 yards, much like he did against the Texans, and he gets that offense going. And if you get the offense going, they will shut out the Commanders' offense. The Commanders cannot score in large bursts against functional defenses, let alone the Jets got going. I got the home team. I got New York. If Zach Wilson doesn't play or doesn't get going, who knows? It's not going to be a good football game in all likelihood. I am not looking forward to it in the sense of enjoying the viewing experience. I am looking forward to watching the dysfunction. But I'm picking the Jets.
It's going to be a sloppy, messy 27-20 game that the Commanders are going to win. Their offense with Sam Howell, yeah, he makes a lot of mistakes. Yeah, there's points where I don't think he's a very good quarterback, but he still has flashes because of how good of an offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy is. So I think off the strength of Eric Bieniemy, Sam Howell's ability to make some big splash plays here and there, I expect the Commanders to win. And then we have Seattle headed to Tennessee. Tennessee's kind of a disaster right now. Ryan Tannehill's going to probably get thrown back in the swing of things unless Will Levis's ankle is good to go. Derrick Henry, the worst week of his career last year. And then you have Seattle, who's probably getting Geno Smith back, all coming off the biggest win of their season, I would say. So Seattle should win.
No faith in King Henry against that poor Seattle run defense. You know, the only thing which can stop Derrick Henry, it's not the playoffs, it's not defensive lines of significant nature, it's his own offensive line. A man can only do so much if his name is not Adrian Peterson when he's getting hit in the backfield every single play. I'll go with the Seahawks, a little Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker action to get him going, but I do feel bad for him. This is going to be the first season in a long time where he's healthy and doesn't hit 1,000 rushing yards. On to Jacksonville versus Tampa Bay, and this game's got playoff implications because the Buccaneers can snag this win away from the Jaguars. It's going to hurt the Jaguars' bid to get atop the AFC, or at least be that 1 or the 2 seed, and it's really going to catapult Tampa Bay into that top spot in the NFC South. Granted, all those teams are like 6-8, 6-7 right now, so there's room for change and volatility. I'm giving this one to the Buccaneers. I got a good feeling about Baker Mayfield this week. I think Baker Mayfield is going to do the Lord's work against that Jacksonville defense. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin playing sweet chin music all day on the other Josh Allen. And Trevor Lawrence just not going to be able to respond. The long hair is going to get in the way of his reads. He's going to throw some interceptions. That sneaky good Bucs defensive line, Vita Vea, is going to fall on Trevor Lawrence, flatten him like a pancake, Wile E. Coyote style, and it'll be enough to get the Buccaneers the win.
Is Trevor Lawrence out of concussion protocol?
I think he's going to play. If he doesn't play, further to my point that the Buccaneers are going to win that.
Well, we all know what's going to happen if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play because C.J. Beathard is backing him up. If he does play, big offensive game for the Jaguars. This is where Parker Washington, we've seen some flashes as a rookie from Penn State this season. He's going to break out and fill that wide receiver 2 role that has been left open by Christian Kirk being injured and Zay Jones dealing with injury. So if he is healthy and he does clear concussion protocol, Jaguars are going to win. Arizona, Chicago. Chicago for the last few weeks has been blowing close games. Their offense has been very good, and then when it comes to closing, or not very good, very solid, and then when it comes to closing the game out, they completely fall apart. The play calling doesn't utilize clock management well at all, but now they're playing the Cardinals, who don't have a very talented defense. They don't have an over-talented offense, and they're playing at home, so Chicago will win.
No, they won't. Come on, man. What are we doing here? We do this every week. Oh, Chicago Bears, they're going to have a good week. They're going up against a team who can't defend the run. Never mind, Justin Fields, for some reason, doesn't like running the ball anymore or looks scared out there. And I don't care how many highlight tapes you put out of 3 plays. I don't care how many sad interviews he does about giving his heart and soul to the Bears organization. Justin Fields is on the way out. No performance in the final 3 weeks of the season can overwrite what we have seen from him the past 3 years. Granted, these are the moments when there is no pressure, no expectations, nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Well, gee, they got something to lose. They're going to have a worse draft pick. Justin Fields shines. So he'll probably have a good game statistically. If you watch it, you know he's a bum. But I'm giving it to the Cardinals. I got a good feeling about Kyler Murray. I don't think Montez Sweat is going to be a big factor in this one. I believe in the little man. I believe in Kyler. I have faith in the Cardinals. On to a much more entertaining game. Dallas Cowboys headed on down to Miami to face the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa, possibly Tyreek Hill, definitely Jalen Waddle. It's going to be a high-scoring game. That Cowboys defense has been shaky the past 2 weeks. Got lit up by the Bills. Cowboys offense could not respond. And while I don't think that doesn't happen again offensively, I definitely think that defense is going to continue to get gouged. High score. I think ultimately the lack of speed and the injuries in the Cowboys secondary is going to give the Dolphins the edge. Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill are going to pick this unit apart. It's not even going to be over the top necessarily. He's just going to get the ball in space, and because he's such a phenomenal athlete, Tyreek or Waddle are going to do things. I'm giving this one to the Dolphins. 35 points apiece from each team. Maybe goes to overtime, maybe doesn't, but high scoring affair. Great Christmas football.
For the Cowboys' sake, I hope their offense actually shows up this week so they're able to show that they are able to produce at a high level on the road. That has not really been the case all season long, but you take a look at their defense, they just got gouged by the Bills for, over 200 rushing yards? And now they're playing the Dolphins, who have one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL with Raheem Mostert. Devon Achane's just getting healthier and healthier. So I think that is going to play a major factor in this game. Raheem Mostert, I think he has 21 rushing touchdowns or something to that effect this season. And if Tyreek Hill plays, Jalen Waddle, I don't think the Cowboys defense is going to be able to handle that. So like you said, I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. And I think I'm going to lean with the Dolphins on this one. For the Cowboys' sake, I hope their offense is actually able to show up on the road.
Oh, don't for the Cowboys' sake. You hate the Cowboys. We have no sakes or stakes here. We at Thicc Manic are biased against every single NFC East team, except maybe the Commanders, because we feel kind of bad for them.
I like the Giants.
We don't care. My hatred for the Giants eclipses your enjoyment.
New England headed to Denver. New England just keeps losing. At this point, whether Bill Belichick's the coach next season or someone else new is in there, they're tanking for a quarterback. They want Drake May or Caleb Williams. And Denver, they're making a playoff push. They've been very solid on the offensive side of the ball. They've been getting better on defense. Well, they just, they had a big loss recently, but they've been better than they were earlier in the season. So they're at home. Denver's going to win.
I mean, they want Drake May. We know the Patriot way. I'll give this one to the Broncos, but it would be really funny if the Patriots somehow won this one. I care only about the amusement of irrelevant playoff games. Anyway, on to the actual Christmas Day, the Monday games. Las Vegas headed on down to Kansas City. And the only thing we should be asking ourselves as fans about this game is if Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance and if she is going to celebrate Christmas with her new man, Travis Kelce. It's the Raiders. It's the Chiefs. Some stories you don't need to read through to know how it ends. Chiefs are winning this one. There's no need for deep commentary or analysis. What do we think is going to happen? We know what's going to happen. Raiders stink. KC.
Chiefs are going to win, and I think that's what everyone expects to win because of what we've seen from the Raiders. But I just want to point out quickly, Rashee Rice last week was against the Patriots. More involvement in the offense than we've seen all season long. So that is a bright spot for the Chiefs moving forward. If Rashee Rice continues to get integrated into that Andy Reid offense, it only means good things for the Chiefs come playoff time. Giants headed to Philadelphia. They play Philadelphia twice over their last 3 games. And maybe they win one of them off the strength of Tommy DeVito. It's not going to be
the strength of Tommy DeVito, which scored, 7 points against the Saints last week?
Well, he was sacked 9 times. The Giants' offensive line does not seem to understand even what a defensive line stunt is, and that happens to be where the Eagles are the strongest on defense. They have a phenomenal interior defensive line, phenomenal pass rushers. Tommy DeVito is probably going to get sacked about 15 times, and the Giants are going to lose 24-7.
I hope that game ruins your Christmas. I gotta be honest. I hope your dad throws a glass bottle of beer at the TV screen. I hope your turkey is burned. This is what you deserve for saying the Giants were going to be a playoff team at the start of the year. This is what you deserve for saying the Giants were going to blow out the Cowboys week 1. It's all coming to you, man. You get what you pay for.
Okay.
On a complete opposite end of the spectrum, we got the Baltimore Ravens going to San Francisco. The 2 top teams in each of their respective conferences squaring off. A battle which could determine the MVP standings. A battle which could determine who is atop their conference and gets the bye. A battle for bragging rights. A revenge battle for some in memory of a certain Super Bowl which didn't go the 49ers' way. I'm giving this one to the Niners. I don't think Brock Purdy is going to play amazing statistically, but I think he's going to do what he has to do, get the ball in his playmakers' hands, but most importantly in Christian McCaffrey's hands, and that will be enough against a Ravens defense which has faltered down the stretch. Lamar may be fine, Lamar may even be good, but Nick Bosa, extra motivated, trying to ruin the children of Baltimore's Christmas, is going to get after him. Ravens offense will score, sure, but it's just not going to be able to keep up. That defense of the 49ers, still scary good. Still got all pros running around all over the place. That defensive line, even without Bosa playing his best football, has been elite thanks to the other players on it. I'm giving this one to the 49ers at home.
This is the biggest game of the week, possibly the biggest game over the last 3 weeks, considering it could be a preview of a Super Bowl matchup, but 2 1 seeds in each conference. And I think this is going to be a relatively low-scoring affair. I don't think a team's going to score more than 21, 24 points. The 49ers have a very good defense. I think we're going to see the offense falter a little bit. I think that we'll see some 3-and-outs that the Ravens are able to force. Brock Purdy may miss a couple throws because of how good the Ravens defense is. And I hope the Ravens are going to win this one. I think that's what's going to happen. I could see it going either way. I'm leaning Ravens.
Come on, Tristan. You start with the answer and then you work back out to find the solution. 49ers are clearly the better team here. We don't need to exist in this land of make-believe because we hate those who live in San Francisco. I don't like them either, trust me. The Californians, I am a big fan of doing what Bugs Bunny did to Florida. Just go along that border, saw it off, send it out in the Pacific Ocean. But we must acknowledge they've got the best team in football and are going to win at home on Christmas. Nick Bosa is ensuring a white Christmas this year.
Okay.
Anyway, those are our predictions. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. If you are still here on Spotify, YouTube, Snapchat Premium, please hit that follow, subscribe button, like the video. It helps engagement. And remember, you are very appreciated. Merry Christmas to you all.